Joining us now is OjyOkpe, whose story is trending around the world. Hello, Jinik.
Cheer me up.
Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF, the best day of the week. I mean, it's still just the beginning of the month, but yes, I'm excited. How are you this morning?
Fantastic. How are you?
Our favorite Nigerian wife. You know, I cannot help myself.
I've been advising our Nigerian wife.
Oh my God.
I don't want to say it on her.
Okay.
But she knows.
Okay, she knows. I hope you take his advice.
In Africa, we listen to in-laws.
He's a very prolific.
He wants me to go on another maternity leave. That's what he wants.
I love Dubai. She just exposed you here. Rufy on fire. How are you this morning? TGIF.
Yes, sir.
I know you want
not good of him.
He's God that looks after children.
Exactly. Please, let's have children. Let's have children. I think you're
school fees on the island.
Don't listen to bachelor.
Okay, can we start working?
So my bad. School fees,
Rufai, we're waiting for you to get married. That's all we're waiting for. Well, all right. Let's begin what's trending with the biggest trending global story, which is Britain's Labour Party sweeping into power today. After more than a decade in opposition, Conservative leader Rishi Sunak has been hustled out. Labour leader Keir Starmer will officially become Prime Minister later in the day, leading his party back to government less than 5 years after it suffered its worst defeat in almost a century.
We ran as a changed Labour Party, and we will govern as a changed Labour Party.
Congratulations, what can I say? But you know, Rufai, also Nigerians were a force for Labour. A presidential candidate of Labour Party, Nigeria, Peter Obi, had been campaigning heavily for Labour. Also, we saw DJ Copy. I think that one had some sort of brouhaha at the point, but Nigeria was also part of that. We know they carry last, right? Yeah, that's the picture also. We've seen a lot of Nigerians come for Labour.
I mean, what it also shows that Nigeria doesn't carry last, like we said, for all the local support and everything. But also, when you also look at it, there were a lot of people of Nigerian extraction that won seats yesterday. I think Chi Onura from Newcastle and a couple of other people out there. So, I mean, it's a good one for Labour Party, but now they have to govern the country, which is the biggest one. And I also think, this was the point I was trying to make with Dr. Abatik well off the air, that this vote is also a referendum on Brexit. Because most of the areas that voted in favor of Brexit have now seen that the politicians deceived them largely, and now they are punishing them in these elections. So, elections have consequences.
Right.
And let me now throw the final shots.
What is?
You didn't hear technical glitch.
All right.
The results were announced on time.
It was.
You didn't hear technical glitch. You didn't hear Rubu. They did elections.
Right.
About close to 40 million votes. They counted everything.
All right.
From 10 p.m. They poll closed 10 p.m. By 5, we started knowing they counted it on time.
Inshallah, we will get there. One thing I know is that
our election is only vibes on inshallah.
Constant is change.
And nobody has gone to court.
Well, while in the U.S., President Joe Biden watched on as a fireworks display lit up the night sky in Washington on Thursday as part of July 4th celebrations. Biden was joined by his family, Vice President Kamala Harris, as they waved to crowds and watched the display from the balcony of the White House. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em why you work. Make 'em go, as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make 'em go, All right, congratulations to the United States. Happy 4th of July. Well, let's come home here in Nigeria. Social media is awash with reactions following the signing of the Samoa Agreement by the federal government, which focuses on human rights, democracy, and good governance, including gender equality and the rule of law. Well, the agreement has been controversial due to clauses that it may promote LGBTQ rights. The federal government, however, has denied any form of endorsement of legislation of same-sex or LGBTQ practices, insisting that the Samoa Agreement it signed last month on June 28 is in national interest. Well, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, in a statement on Thursday, said that Nigeria's endorsement of the document was accompanied by a statement of declaration dated on June 26, 2024, which clarified its understanding and context of the agreement within its jurisdiction to the effect that any provision that is inconsistent with the domestic laws of Nigeria shall be invalid. Well, let's take some reactions. Of course, Dr. Abati, I'll come to you because it concerns the time that you were in government with Goodluck Jonathan. Let me take this. Let me take this reaction from Nefertiti, who wrote, so Bola Tinubu has signed the Samoa Agreement as part of the $150 billion deal that will effectively promote LGBTQ rights in Nigeria. Recall that Goodluck Jonathan rejected the deal in 2014. I thought it was a Muslim ticket. Did I miss something? Well, Bashar Ahmed wrote, signing a mere deal cannot legalize LGBTQ, whatever relationships in Nigeria. In 2014, our National Assembly passed a bill and the president signed it into law, which criminalized same-sex relationships unless the National Assembly passes a new bill to change this law and the president signs it into law. Same-sex relationships in Nigeria will remain illegal. Well, Adel wrote, Sukuk bond that was signed by Buhari. Southerners and Christians said, oh, they want to Islamize Nigeria. Now, Samoa Agreement, which Tinubu signed, Northerners and Muslims say, oh, they want to make LGBTQ legal in Nigeria. Both are for the good of Nigeria. But tribal and religious sentiments always supersede logic. Shame. Dr. Abati, well, I guess the point people are trying to make is the fact that that Samoa Agreement has in its clauses that human rights issue. But I believe that the Minister for Budget also came out to say that, you know, it only contained the $150 million or billion loan. But they also said there was, you know, a huge consultation and there were conversations. So the fact that there was also that document that came with the agreement that said Nigeria will always, you know, abide by its law will supersede any other human rights issues that are in the agreement. But Dr. Abati,
okay,
what had happened during your time?
Here we're in the province of international law and international relations. Very briefly, the theory. States enter into all kinds of agreements and covenants. Now, when you enter into an agreement or a covenant, you know, your sovereignty also matters. And you are required in many jurisdictions to domesticate the law. You can domesticate the law by reenactment or by reference. In Nigeria, the issue is by reenactment. So it doesn't matter what agreement Nigeria enters into. If it has legal implications that borders on the sovereignty of Nigeria, it will have to be reenacted in Nigeria. Now, in the Samoa Agreement that they are talking about, which is over 100 clauses, you know, between Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific states, the controversial issue here that Nigerians are complaining about is Article 9.2. Article 9 sub 2 of the Samoa Agreement, which seems to talk about human rights and all of that, and that if you don't recognize the right of LGBTQ people, you may not have access. Now, in the declaration by the Nigerian government says this is subject to our sovereignty. Nigeria did not agree to that Article 9.2. In any case, there's no way Nigeria can agree to that Article 9.2. We have in place, which is what you are referring to, the Nigerian Constitution, Section 12. Of the Nigerian Constitution is very clear. For you to accept any international covenant, it has to be reenacted in Nigeria. Now, that is the position of Ngudari JSC, as it then was, in Abacha versus Faiwe-Ime. So the Nigerian position is clear in that regard. Number two, our Matrimonial Causes Act, Section 1 thereof, recognizes a relationship that will be a marriage or between individuals as a union between a man and a woman. And then in 2014, the Nigerian government came up with the Same-Sex Prohibition Act. Now, in that Same-Sex Prohibition Act, it retains the principle established in Section 1 of the Matrimonial Causes Act. And that law took about how many years? They started pursuing it in 2006. It was until 2014 that President Jonathan signed it into law. So the people who are protesting, it's like a tea in a storm in a teacup. Because our laws, we are not going to change Section 12 of our law. Yes. And unless you abrogate the Matrimonial Causes Act and the Same-Sex Prohibition Act, that's when Nigerians have to worry that they are bringing in LGBT rights through the back door. So the federal government is right in terms of opportunities that we can get. And as a sovereign state, we cannot automatically, say we have adopted Article 9 sub 2 of the Samoa Agreement.
Well, all right, Dr. Abati, we'll have to just go to the United Kingdom where Rishi Sunak is speaking.
I told you the most important task I had was to return stability to our economy. Inflation is back to target, mortgage rates are falling, and growth has returned. We have enhanced our standing in the world, rebuilding relations with allies, leading global efforts to support Ukraine, and becoming the home of a new generation of transformative technologies. And our United Kingdom is stronger too, with the Windsor Framework, devolution restored in Northern Ireland, and our union strengthened. I'm proud of those achievements. I believe this country is safer, stronger, and more secure than it was 20 months ago. And it is more prosperous, fairer, and resilient than it was in 2010. Whilst he has been my political opponent, Sir Keir Starmer will shortly become our Prime Minister. In this job, his successes will be all our successors, and I wish him and his family well. Whatever our disagreements in this campaign, he is a decent, public-spirited man who I respect. He and his family deserve the very best of our understanding as they make the huge transition to their new lives behind this door, and as he grapples with this most demanding of jobs in an increasingly unstable world. I'd like to thank my colleagues, my cabinet, the civil service, especially here in Downing Street, the team at Chequers, my staff, CCHQ, but most of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to my wife Akshata and our beautiful daughters. I can never thank them enough for the sacrifices they have made so that I might serve our country. One of the most remarkable things about Britain is just how unremarkable it is that 2 generations after my grandparents came here with little, I could become Prime Minister, and that I could watch my 2 young daughters light Diwali candles on the steps in Downing Street. We must hold true to that idea of who we are, that vision of kindness, decency, and tolerance that has always been the British way. This is a difficult day, at the end of a number of difficult days. But I leave this job honoured to have been your Prime Minister. This is the best country in the world, and it is thanks entirely to you, the British people, the true source of all our achievements, our strengths, and our greatness. Thank you.
All right. The end of an era.
No regrets, Rishi.
Absolutely.
No regrets.
Well, let's continue on what's trending. We'll take another story here. Well, in a welcoming development, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC, on Thursday inaugurated 12 compressed natural gas stations in Lagos and Abuja simultaneously. While speaking at the occasion, the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC, Mele Kyari, said that in addition to the deployment of CNG stations nationwide, the firm and its partners would also build 3 liquefied natural gas stations in OjyOkpe and has also developed an auto CNG rollout plan for the construction of 35 CNG stations across several geographical zones in Nigeria. The Executive Vice Chairman of the Presidential CNG Initiative, Toyin Suber, said that the initiative will provide succor for all Nigerians.
For the man who was removing money from his pocket to pay for petrol, he will also save 6 million naira on an average based on the 250 liters that they use, and that's another 6 million naira savings. So on the whole, to each vehicle, there's a 12 million savings in the use of CNG. We want succor to people. Obviously, even right now, the kits that are going out, that we're giving out now as conversion to commercial vehicles, is going to be at a 50% surcharge, right, for them to be able to start and get into it. Mr. President wants 1 million kits to be given out for free in this country, plus conversion done for free.
Well, I mean, if the government does well, we commend them.
Yeah,
We've always talked about this CNG.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
I own a CNG car made in Nigeria.
You do already?
Yes.
You tell us how that works.
We can't wait to get more, but the problem has always been more stations. Currently now we have to drive up the way to Nippo.
No, but they said they're going to have more stations nationwide as well. In the meantime, Africa's richest man and chairman of the Dangote group, Aliko Dangote, has said that the Nigerian economy can be turned around in a few months. The industrialist made this known while addressing State House correspondents in Abuja on Thursday after the inauguration of the Presidential Economic Council by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Dangote also stated that the public and private sectors will work together to revamp the economy.
I think really today, to me personally, it's a great day that the president has launched this, Presidential Economic Coordination Council, where the private sector and the public sector will actually work together to make sure that we better the lives of our people. Like what I keep saying, our own issues are not that bad. This economy can be turned around within few months, and I think we're on that way. I must really thank His Excellency, Mr. President, for inaugurating this council, and we'll start meeting immediately. And I can assure you, you'll see a lot of changes coming. I know that everybody is in a hurry, but we have what it takes to turn around this economy. Things are not going to be bad. We are now just we've gone to the bottom, but we're going to rise up and make sure that we make every single Nigerian proud to be a Nigerian. All
right. Alhaji Aliko Dangote here. It's quite reassuring, though, to hear from the private sector, and it is great that the president has inaugurated this team. It is amazing also to see the fact that we've just seen the CNG, and then we're hearing Africa's richest man assuring us that the economy will turn around really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, assurances are fantastic. I like the CNG development because it's time for us to see work in progress, right? So with Aliko Dangote, I've been enjoying his role that he's been playing recently with regards to being an economic advocate, if I may call it that. I believe he's still the single largest private employer of labor in Nigeria. So it's important to have him. And if you look at, Tony Elumelu, the other people involved in the Economic Council, between them, they employ a significant amount of labor in Nigeria. So important players to have. We have had these presidential economic councils before in the past. So let's see what will be done differently, because some of these players are serving for a second time or a third time on a presidential economic council. So my only sentiment is less statements. Let's see more action, more progress. Let's let the developments speak for themselves.
All right, Dr. Abati, over to you.
I'm just amused, They've asked Alhaji Aliko Dangote more or less to endorse the economic plan. 6 months' time, if the turnaround that we have been promised, if we don't see it, we're likely to also come here and say, well, Alhaji Aliko Dangote was the one who said this economy can be turned around. Celebrity endorsement of sorts. Must they use the richest man in Nigeria to have that endorsement? But they've talked about things they will do with regard to social welfare, energy, healthcare, and all of that. These are important targets in the blueprint that they have put forward in putting that committee together, in also talking about a 2 trillion projection in terms of what they intend to do. But the taste of the pudding, as they say, is in the eating. Within the timelines that the council has provided, Nigerians will be watching closely, and they will measure it in terms of improvement in the cost of living, which is very high at the moment.
Well, you know, Rufai, I mean, Aliko Dangote's statement comes after his remarks, you know, when he faulted the CBN for that 30% increase and, you know, saying that they are basically stifling the private sector. What's your take on that before we take our final?
I mean, but he was spot on when he said that,
yes,
because you cannot have an environment of growth when the interest rate is quite high. But also, he's been part of this presidential committee, you know, to be able to help shore up the economy. They are pushing about 2 trillion into the economy, investing in agriculture, other parts of the economy, energy and things like that, you know, proliferation of CNG and all of this conversation, which is a good one. But my concern has always been implementation. How quick can we implement it? I remember this time last year, the president announced a raft of measures cultivating 150,000 hectares of agricultural land and the likes and many other things. But we still have the problem we're having with food inflation.
Yes.
So how can they implement and how can they get the advice that people like Alhaji, so it's one thing for Alhaji Aliko Dangote to advise them, like he has advised them now about interest rates and all of that. If he also says about agriculture and gives them the advice, based on that place in the value chain, if they don't listen, it's not Alhaji Aliko Dangote's fault when it's 6 months down the line things don't work.
Yep. It's
going to be the government's fault, so the government will take responsibility. Alhaji Aliko Dangote is not an elected official. It's President Tinubu that the buck will stop in his front. So it's best for them to take all of this advice and this raft of measures and let's build this economy. I believe Nigeria is not a hopeless case.
Yes.
But we are not seeing that clear-cut dynamic leadership we need to be able to bring Nigeria out of this quagmire. That's my problem.
Before we take our final story, I just wanted us all to congratulate this yoga instructor, Anjola Olupitan, who has just been certified by the Guinness World Records as the new record holder for the fastest 10-meter handwalk. I mean, congratulations. We are seeing these, you know, amazing Nigerians doing these amazing things. I mean, Guinness World Record revealed this in a post on X. But can you really try this? Can we just all applaud this amazing talent?
Where I have my talent.
Dr. Amat, please, what else is your talent? We already know your talent here, but can you tell us what else your talent? Of course, but you know that I am always. But congratulations to our Guinness World Record holder. We'll take our final story in Osun State. Actually in Delta State. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke was in Delta State on Thursday at the invitation of the state governor, Sheriff Obowobori, to commission a bypass in Oshimili North local government area of the state. While performing the inauguration, Adeleke thanked his hosts and other Deltans for their warm reception, adding that he was impressed with the performance of the Delta State governor, especially for his successful completion of the bypass, which promises to positively transform the economic lives of residents in the area. Well, before delivering his speech, Adeleke and Obowobori showed off their dance moves to a rousing applause, dancing to Kiss Daniel's Bugatti. Let's take a look, as always.
When I land softly on the sofa floor. So far so good, money back down. Let me see you, oh lo lo lo. Let me see you, oh lo lo lo. Bukawa, let me bukawa. Let me see you, the bukawa, oh lo lo lo. Let me see you, oh lo lo lo. Bukawa, let me bukawa. Let me see you, the bukawa, oh lo lo lo. Let me see you, oh lo lo lo. Bukawa.
Well, all right. I mean, fantastic. Always our dancing governor. Where you're going to say?
What you do the Pluto dance?
Yes, no, but that was the Buga. But you know, Adeleke never disappoints. As always, I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis. As always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all next week.